Welcome to the first episode of the Cyber Prophets, a special podcast when we speak about technology and how it can change our lives. Tonight, I am your co host, Federico, and with me is going to be Anurax Dev. Say something to the audience, Anurax.
Hello, everybody. I'm Anurix Dev, and I'm also co-host of the show. The idea behind what we're going to be talking about is to prophesize the future of different industries within the IT world. We have in queue talk conversation about automation, AI, freelancing, the future of jobs, and today we're going to be talking about cognitive science with our guest Akash. So if you can introduce yourself, Akash, and tell us a little bit more about yourself, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you guys for having me here. I'm Akash and I'm like currently working in the cognitive technologies in the field of, and I have my own startup which is like called Gunini Labs, and I was more focused on the part of the NLP, computer vision, as well as OCRs.
That's great, Akash. And that's why today we have a special question to start your interview. What are cognitive technologies? Many people tend to confuse these words, and maybe you can give us an introduction.
Federico, the thing is like cognitive technologies, if we split the cognitive and technology, cognitive means simply the capabilities of human, like we talk about the senses, we talk about the decisions, we talk about the reasoning, and we talk about the creativities. When our technology is trying to mimicking these human capabilities, then we call it cognitive technologies.
That's great. Now, let's proceed with the next question, Anurax.
Right, cool. So let me see. All right. How did you get involved in cognitive techs?
I will tell like from my background, I in starting I started with the process automations, like when we have to develop some applications or kind of, I could say, RPAs bots which to automate the repetitive task. But after that, if you will see the further, the next stage of the automation is the cognitive technologies, like where you implement the more advanced version of the automation, which can be like OCR, which can be NLP, which can be computer vision or speech recognitions. So how that's how I started with, basically with, I could say, process automation.
Now, let's go a little bit more in depth. Can you share with us some projects or some ideas that you have been involved, and most importantly, the challenges that you have faced implementing cognitive technologies?
Okay, so I would like to talk about the projects, like use cases which I faced during this COVID time. It will be like
Mm-hmm.
more better example how it can change the COVID time also. So the first use case I will talk about the invoice processing, because I will like give you the high level of the process. It was before, it was working with hard copies of the invoices where you were receiving as a post the invoices, and after that you were processing those as scanning those documents, putting those documents into the Excel file, and after that processing further by inputting those values to the SAP. So due to COVID, people are not able to go to the office, and due to that, it's like from client side as well as from our client who is receiving the invoices are not able to receive those invoices in hard copy. So they completely change this process into the digitalize the process, I could say, into the completely paperless, where we are getting all the invoices on particular email, which is based on the mapped on the company country based, and after that they are receiving all those digital invoices and we are processing those invoices in using the OCR tools. And after those OCR tools are getting those values into the database, from database again our application is putting those values to the SAP. So it's like if you are having daily
Um,
more than 1000 invoices, then it's like this process is having lots of savings, you can see.
so Akash, I have a question. So, cognitive science is basically like reproducing human behavior. Which is the behavior that is like most commonly reproduced right now?
Ok, if I'll talk about the behavior or capabilities basically, so in work we use our senses, we could say, which is like touch and sight and hearing. So for touch we are using RPS, which is robotics process of automation, which is also the part of cognitive technologies. And for sight, I could say when you analyze by looking at something like PDFs, invoices, or some other things, we use OCR or computer vision tools to analyze those documents. For hearing, I could say when you use it on call centers or to analyze the voice of something, then we use like speech recognitions, plus we use the NLP to analyze the written form of the, I could say, text analysis. And the capabilities, I would
You,
say, about the predictions and reasoning, we use machine learning for that.
you know that reminds me like a talk, or I think it was a tech talk from Kevin Kelly that I saw on YouTube a while ago. And well, he said that a lot of people are afraid of AI because they think that it's gonna achieve sentience and destroy them. But in reality, like AI is more like a bunch of individual instruments in a whole orchestra. So where each like application is like very specific and doesn't deviate from that purpose. So what you say, like it reminds me. So for example, the part where he's using computer vision for the receipt, right? Like it's not going to expand out of that single functionality, right? Yeah. So if you can go like share with some of the okay. So you told us about the one that handles bills like automatically, right?
Mhm.
So what other cool projects are you working on or are you aware of?
Uh, if I talk about currently, I was working lots of the process regarding the image processing and some process regarding this computer vision where we have to input the structured data of the images, and there was some part of the NLP we were working on. So yeah, it's going in that way nowadays.
How do you think computer vision is going to be like used with something like smart cities?
If you talk about the smart cities, computer vision can be used in many ways actually. Because computer vision also have lots of capabilities regarding the classification, regarding you can specify objects and all those things. So if in smart cities, I would say computer vision can be used to track the people, track the traffics, track the some I could say vulnerable things which can be on in between people, which can like which can be for the securities of the people if some society, some other people cannot enter or something like that way.
And do you think that, for example, computer vision can reduce the crime in the cities, or do you think it will be unsafe? Because I have heard that, for example, in China, the government has very smart, very advanced computer vision that can recognize anyone with just a camera. So, how do you think this is going to influence? Maybe it's going to reduce the crime, or maybe it's going to reduce even the privacy in our lives.
Yeah, actually there is like two things. First thing is like security, and second thing is your privacy. So if I talk about the security, of course it's gonna improve the response time of the security. It can give you the alarm when there is some vulnerable things are nearby society or something like which you feel can be not be safe, because it can trigger the alarm, it can call the police and whatever. But for the sake of privacy, I think there still must be some rules or like required what should be tracked and what should not be tracked. Because if you have camera, of course you can track anything, But yeah, still there is some privacy issues are there if you are tracking some person, like when he's going from morning to evening, when he's coming back and everything. If you are having the, then it is like might be scary in a part of privacy. Yeah.
What are other ways in which you can apply computer vision other than spying on people? Like some like interesting business cases that we can use
Mm, okay, there is like
for image recognition.
yeah, computer vision actually have uh, lots of use cases. I could say in daily usage you are using in as a OCR, and after that you have for your securities as we
Um,
talked about before.
for the Akash, so for the people that don't know, what is an OCR?
OCR is like uh, optical character recognition systems, which is like
Oh,
trying
okay,
to extract the character from the image. Like it is
okay.
try it have capability of reading image out character out of image.
All right, cool. So yeah, back to the previous question. So, um, business use cases for
Okay,
OCRs.
okay, for um, business cases talk about the security, talk about the in between the process automation, and we can use it all other ways in the part of the industries where we have the manufacturing units. There we can use the computer vision to track the what gonna be our outputs, or track the how could
Uh,
say in the
to see how
part
many
of
to see how many units like if are being produced a day or something.
yeah, it can be like this. What like I'm talking about the tracking for the security as well, to save your employees due to some they should not cross some lines or something, like in that way of security. Plus on the part of counting the units or something, like when some product is already like prepared, you have vision to okay, this is like manufactured, this is not manufactured, to do in that way. And other options you have like you, in the medical we are using it, using the your mobile cameras you are able to like scan the uh, your I could say x-rays to like classify either you have uh, cancer or not in your skin. You can use it directly to
Mm,
ca-
now
yeah check your
that's
That's good.
classify
interesting.
that.
Yeah,
And how
yeah.
do you see that? Let's say, what it, from let's say from the medical perspective, what is the most important business case that you see in these times related to image recognition or let's say image classification?
Okay, so I would say for image classification there was like already lots of work done for the recognizing the you they are like able to read the x-rays and classify the disease. They are able to like do the image recognition using your mobile camera as well.
They
So
can they use it to like diagnose something in your eye, for example? I read somewhere that AI can be used to diagnose like eye conditions.
yeah, they were able to do that, but I don't exactly remember for what it was they were using it, because yeah, they were able to read this iris to for some particular disease. But I think they were not able to do it through mobile camera, if I'm not sure about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would probably need a special camera for sure.
Yeah. And
And what
for
are some? Let, okay, maybe let's finish, Akash.
okay, so yeah, there was for medical they have like these uses, and after that for medical I could say they have other uses for the cognitive technologies. When you are using some medical bands, which I could say they are using to whole day they are recording your beats, heart rate, and all those things. So in future it might be possible that we will have some devices which can predict about the you're gonna be ill or not before you will be ill simply.
And
So
do you
you can
think?
like
And do
take the
you?
So I
precaution.
guess
And do you think this could be extended for like minimizing future diseases like the corona? Because we are getting some part of the blood in our body, and with this we're doing the some test. Do you think that we'll be
You
able to
know,
analyze viruses or things inside our body that bodies that is affecting our lives?
I don't know if you can do that by vision alone.
uh, Actually, there is like a limitation for those bands for now, because now, as I remember, they are able to calculate your heartbeats, how much distance you went, and about maybe your body temperature. Plus, for the, as you told me, like for blood testing and all, maybe if we connect our, mm, like, this blood testing kit to connect to
Mm-hmm.
those devices to send some data about the blood quality and all, then it is possible. But for corona, I had one idea about how to diagnose it, like by using your mobile phones. Because if we have like bit of data regarding your lungs when you breathe, then there is one sound it is creating. So with those, if we have some data, we can work on those part to diagnose the COVID or not by your like breathing pattern or something like that, and just by using your local mobile.
So I just thought of an interesting idea. Like this can also be applied to sports. Like I don't know if you guys have ever played tennis, but they have this thing called the eagle's eye. That when you're playing tennis and you hit the ball to the point where you don't really know if it's like inside or outside of the line, like there is a machine that actually takes a picture to make it very clear to everybody. So you could use that, let's say for soccer, to see okay if it was a fault or not, or you can use it in boxing to see how many punch they threw, how many connected, generate stats and all that stuff just from image recognition.
Yeah, for the sports side, I could say there is like lots of implementation was already done, and for the gym and the positions, there was one application I saw. They have like position estimation. So it can predict like if you are doing some particular exercise, so if your position is good enough to do that or not. Because if particular exercise is not done or particular position, you can be get injured. So those application are used in those parts,
Mm,
like your position
nice.
and algorithm.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, for sure. I hadn't thought of that. Man, that's actually that would be a really good idea for a business. Like making an image recognition software just for people that are taking like online gym lessons, making sure like they are doing the correct form and shit or and thing.
Yeah. Actually, I had like one more idea, like how, like we people from IT, we are working on the same place, sitting on the same place, and we really have bad position, and it can cause us the back pain. So we can develop some kind of application which can remind us like about which can I could say do the pose estimation by from your like laptop camera, and it can warn you when you are like sitting in bad position. So it can like improve your habit to sit on the better position, and it can reduce like lots of your back pain and lots of like problems from your back.
Generally speaking, we have seen a lot of ideas and let's say even business ideas now, Akash. How do you think the companies are benefiting from the implementation of cognitive technologies, especially after the corona hit us?
Okay, so I could say in cognitive technologies, the main benefit is like cognitive technology is also working with the humans, because they are taking the feedback from them, and after they are improving their predictions. So one benefit I could say of the cognitive technology is they work with human, so humans should not be scared that they're gonna be out of their work by having the bots there. And second thing is like I could say adaptation, how this technology is able to adopt. They are able to adopt your legacy system. If you talk about RPAs and all, you can use them as a patch for the problem which was existed on your I could say solution design. So this cognitive technology things are like able to implement it, deployed on anywhere, like on cloud, on your system. So I could say the adaptation is also the good benefit for them. Second thing I could say, how much efficient it is for the business processor. It can make your process, I could say, more efficient, more compatible with, make more sense for your business rather than having the same process. You are like 10 people are doing the repetitive task of the same thing. So, and third thing I could say it is doing is the data analysis, and it can create and spot the business patterns which could improve the decision making for your team, so that you don't need to be like going through all those data when the project manager is going and working on the huge amount of data, and he have to take decisions. So he will have one someone to assist like those data you can throw on the algorithm, and you can predict something like what patterns are coming out of those things. And I could say there is one more thing about the customer satisfaction, and customer satisfaction comes under also the part of the your employee satisfaction. If you have such thing implemented on your company, your employee will be, I could say, more satisfied, because they are not working like a robots, because they are working on some work which makes sense, and they feel like they are making decisions in the company rather than dragging and dropping the excels from having those repetitive tasks. So that it can improve the environment in the company. People will be like more engaged in more creative work, I could say. And it, on the part of customer satisfaction, it can reduce your selection processes, like when a client have to select out of those 10 things, because selecting thing can be like really problematic, because you have to select something and you're using lots of your energy to do that. If like in YouTube you have recommended videos, so those things are like can help on the business process as well. And one
Hmm.
more thing is
So
like,
for example, so for example, like if I go, like if I call for a call center and it just asks me, hey, say what's your problem, and I say, hey, my computer is throwing me this particular error, or
mhm,
this thing is happening to me. Like the computer will understand that it's taken to the right place, right?
okay.
That's cool. Nice.
Because for call center I could say there can be, according to the data, there's like more than 50, 60 to 70% of calls are repetitive calls. Repetitive calls means they can be solved by using FAQs. And
And what is an FAQ, Akash? Review
FAQs
the.
is like, suppose some processes we are using and frequently asked questions like, these
Mhm.
kind of problems which is can be solved by using manuals, or by these kind of problems already solved before. So our bots if have all those data, so it is able to cut all those this 70% of calls from the humans, so they can work basically more on the part of calls which have more better problem, I could say, for the people.
Ooh. Now that blew my mind. No, that blew my mind. Yeah.
And when do you think we will see these kind of robots in the market? Let's say in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. What is your prediction?
Actually, if we talk about the technologies, we already have those technologies in the market. But this, I will talk about the disadvantage. It is that it is not so adaptive in the market. It
Yeah,
is still on training.
but for example, right now is we were speaking about the call centers, and
Hmm.
I would like that maybe you can give us like your forecast. Okay, I believe that in the next 5 years, for these reasons, I believe it might be introduced, and let's say this is a new field that is gonna
Yeah. When do you think it will
carry on.
become mainstream?
Okay, so I think according to me, like technologies are also already there. If we have structured data, I hope there is ready. 4 5 years is like too much. 2 3 years we're gonna have such systems, because I know in ITs they have chatbots who can solve your basic problem like changing the password, updating my phone number, all those things. So I could say those part are the next step, which we're gonna have the call VoIP calls, where they can do the speech recognition, and give you the answers directly.
Wow. Yeah, the future of call centers. So to all the people that are working in call centers, yeah, you should you should pay attention.
Maybe
No,
it's
but
time to start a reskilling career. Sometimes
Yeah,
reskilling is the right choice.
maybe maybe it's time to brush up on. No, I think you know what I think like for I think it would be I think the job of like actually training the I think it's going to exist.
uh, those things are already exist. I told you. The thing is like it's not gonna put people out of the things. I think still it's gonna help to people who are working in call centers because they are already getting frustrated by this same calls where they are not even feeling like they are working on something real project. They are having the same calls, they are having the same problems. So they can work on something better part on their company instead of being work as a robot. It's helping them basically. I don't think
Right.
so it's scaring them to switch something. They're gonna be on better place.
Right. Like for the things that cannot be like fully automated.
Yeah, it cannot be because every people have different problems. So if we can say if we target 50% of calls or 40%, it's fine in starting.
And imagine, Akash, that new people are getting into this area. Let's say even the people from the call center might, some people that are listening to you might want to reskill in a new area. What area would you advise them? Because maybe most of these people they don't have any IT background as we have, and maybe you can advise them. Okay, you can start with this one because it might be easier than others.
Okay, so I could say we have to start with basically with computer science because if you now see before computer science was a completely separate stream. But if we see now, computer science is implemented everywhere in mechanical, in aerospace, in I could say in BPOs, in call centers. You will see computer science is everywhere. So that's how this is like third upgrade of the computer world. Before we had hardware, after that we upgraded to software, and now it is the cognitive technologies. So you don't need to be completely particularly on the part of some particular technologies. You are coming from some particular background, and you before like you were coming from some particular background and you learned the computer and how to run the software. That's how it gonna be in future. You will be from particular background and you will have those technologies which will be assisting you in the work, so you will already upgrade yourself to work on those technologies.
Yeah, yeah, but what I wanted to say, Akash, is let's suppose I am a guy who is from a call center. I'm listening to this podcast, and I would like to say,
Yeah.
hey, I
Not
want to get
not
into this era, into this
well,
new.
because I think what Federico is trying to say is that not everybody can become a programmer, right?
Yeah, not everyone can become a programmer, and maybe you can advise them. Okay, maybe I can advise you start with robotic process automation, one of the words that you said, or you can start with computer vision, or maybe there is one area
Okay.
that is easier for this guy who doesn't know anything about coding, who is just scared to lose his job, and hey, what technology is useful for me, especially I'm interested here, but I don't know anything. Which technology would you advise me to get started?
Okay, so Federico, there is like first thing is to having the approach how to solve the problem in computer science, because having those approach to being a developer is completely different thing. So I could suggest like start with no code or low code platforms where you have to learn how to approach, like how you are using loops, how you are using statements to learn. If you learn those things, so it will create a base for your, I could say, for being a developer or something. So those things will help you to develop
Hey,
the program as well.
hey, Akash, how? Let's if somebody wanted to, for example, learn how to train a computer, like what would be the best way to start?
That's what I was trying to tell about this low code and no code applications, which are like if I you want to train you have a data suppose, and you want to take some prediction out of it. So you have lots of low code platform where you can simply throw your data. You will define what you want as an output, like on what value you want to get the predictions, and you will have it. You don't need to write a single line of code even.
But maybe you can tell us, let's say, some solutions that you already know, because if you just say me like low code or no code and I am new, I might be start searching, typing anything in Google and might choose even the wrong sites.
Okay, so
Maybe.
there is like for Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, yeah, all of them having those platforms. As I know, for Microsoft, they have Azure Cognitive Services, where they have the like machine learning platform, and there is AutoML. You can use those as well. Yeah, those like platform for the machine learning, and for you have computer vision for Azure services also they have for the computer vision. For NLP also they have. So they have already ready-made stuff already, which you can just throw data, or you don't need to even throw data. They can simply, you can use it. They're handmade product already and get the predictions.
So how do you see that in the next 2 or 3 years this is gonna change the way of living, the usage of
Yeah, like
cognitive technologies?
how do you how do you imagine like our everyday lives will be when we adopt cognitive technologies?
I could say about those things. On our daily life, first thing, I hope we're not gonna have repetitive tasks. Second thing, we have like our medical will be more responsive, because we will have more data about ourselves, and we can like work more on ourselves, on our body. We can say like how much calories we are intaking. Everything can be recorded. Everything are collecting our whole body data day by day, so we are able to predict more about our body. And second thing, we can have like fast response on the medical systems on the basis of consultation, because we have already some data about our body, and bot can already do the predictions about our future, what we have to improve our body scale, I could say. And second part, I could say, in the security, it can help you in lots of way. And third part or fourth part, I could say, it will help you to not to, it will not be biased for the people. Like it will not biased for the skin color, it will not biased for your race or from which country you are coming from. So I could say this is also the advantage which we'll have in future. So everything will be, I could say, unbiased.
I will say that these are very great answers. And in this way, we could conclude the first episode. Maybe there are some final thoughts from your side, Akash, something that you would like to encourage the people to see it in a more positive way, especially in these times of COVID, that people are afraid of what is happening. Maybe you have some words of encouragement to the people to embrace the cognitive technologies.
I would like to send this message that people have to try to adopt these technologies, try to learn more about them, how they're gonna help them, and treat them as their friend or assistant, not as their enemies. Because at last, when first time computer came, everyone was telling they're gonna replace human. That's how these technologies are. They will be behind you to help you, and try to upgrade your skills. It will be better for your future work. I could say to adopt these technologies more better, because you're gonna work on them.
Thank you very much, Akash, for bringing your ideas, for bringing everything about cognitive technologies. And anything else that you would like to add, Anurag, to this first episode?
No, thank you very much, Akash, and thank you to the audience for watching us. I hope that you learned a thing or two. I certainly did, and we look forward to see you in our next episode.
Thank you,
Sure.
guys.
We will see you in 1 week. See you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.